Say what you will about the free series from Leatherman, but I'm a fan. I know a lot of you don't like them and would prefer to stick with a Leatherman Wave Plus or a Charge or Surge or whatever. And I get it. I have a Charge TTI that I keep in my tool bag, in my backpack, and I think that's the perfect place for it because it's a little too big and heavy for everyday carry. I actually EDC'd a Leatherman Wave for a very long time, and it was nice having a full multi-tool on me, but it would fall out of my pocket all the time. The clip retention wasn't high enough, and it was just big and heavy to carry in the pocket. On the belt, this might work for an everyday carry solution, but I don't always want something on my belt. I want a mostly full multi-tool that I can keep in my pocket that's not too big and bulky, won't fly out of my pocket. That's why I think the Leatherman Free P2 is the perfect candidate. I've had the Skeletool, I've had a bunch of different Leathermans. The Free P2 is the closest I've come to keeping a Leatherman in my pocket all the time, but it's not perfect. For example, the only way they sell the Free P2 is with this combo edge. I want a straight edge. I do not want serrations. They don't sell that for whatever reason. And of course, you also lose your ability to interchange bits, which I don't need to do very often, but having that option is very nice. So I'm going to try to make the perfect Leatherman for EDC, at least for me, and I don't think it's going to be too difficult. Let me show you. Oh, and let's do the damn thing. So as I mentioned with the Leatherman Free series, you lose the ability to interchange bits, which is one of people's biggest drawbacks to this series. Instead of interchangeable bits, you get these two tools right here, which is a standard fixed flathead and Phillips. And they're okay, they work, they're pretty universal. I've not had too many complaints, but if you need something like an Allen or a Hex or anything else, Torx can't really do it with this tool. So that's where these come into play. I had heard about a mod a long time ago, and I just started researching it recently. Came across these actually very quickly. These are on Shapeways. They're 3D printed, and they're bit holders, so you can actually just take out the tools. You take these two out of either a Free P4 or Free P2, and put these in its place, and they will receive bits. But the best part, so this is the standard adapter from Shapeways. So this takes Leatherman's flat bits, and it looks like it'll take a 1/4" bit right there as well, just a standard bit. So cool, but they also offer this. As you can see, it looks like a micro bit. That's exactly what it is. It's a micro bit adapter, but it looks like it's also got a bottle opener on it, and that also looks like it could take a 1/4" bit. So this right here might be the ticket. So I got two of those, and I have one of the flat bit adapters. But I've also done a little more digging, and since I have a 3D printer, I went ahead and 3D printed some thumb studs, or grips, or whatever you want to call them, for the Leatherman Free series. And since I have a Leatherman Free P4 and a P2, what I'm going to end up doing is a blade swap. I'm going to put the combo edge on the Free P4, the straight edge on the P2. So I'm going to add the bit adapters, the thumb studs, and do a blade swap, and it should be exactly what I need. So one of the first things you should know about taking apart a Leatherman is that it's not exactly difficult, especially not anymore. They used to use security Torx bits. Now all you need is 2 T9 Torx bits, and the reason that is because there are free spinning pivots in these, so you have to be able to attack it from both sides. But there are these tiny little washers that are very tricky to get to and get back on the pivot, so I would highly recommend you use also a pair of tweezers. I tried using some from a Swiss Army knife, but ended up having to go with something a little more robust. But that's really all there is to know. It's not quite as difficult as, say, taking apart a bug out, but it's more difficult than just a standard frame lock. It's all very straightforward. It's just finicky more than anything. So first things first, we're gonna get the blades swapped, but while we're doing that, we'll also take off the other tools, the screwdrivers from both, and I think I'm gonna put the flat bit holder on the P4 and this bronze micro bit holder on the P2. I'm not sure, I may put micro bits on both, but I think having the flat bit on this one would be nice. The other part that makes it really difficult is the magnets from the whole mechanism are what pull this washer all around, and it's so tough to get it in line because it's always being pulled by the magnets, which are directly, they're right there down inside. So you need the washer to be in line with the pivot, and it just gets sucked down there to the magnet over and over and over. You can go ahead and pull these as well. And yep, there's another washer on this side too. So this is going to be fun. There's 2 washers, and then you've got these, which are basically like spacers, and they just kind of sit there and sit between your screwdrivers and the blade. So this is the one that's going to go in here. I'm going to put it here before I forget which one, and this should just go on exactly how the other did. Now we're going to get the straight edge off P4. Uh-oh. Don't lose your washers, kids. God, it's so finicky, and I have no idea where that washer went. 2 washers down. Don't tell me it's not gonna fit. Shouldn't have to drill this thing out or anything. It doesn't look like the pivot fits through there. Yeah, it's not fitting. Cool. For the time being, I may need to put... Wow, neither one of them are fitting. Well, I'm gonna have to do something about that. So an 1/8 inch bit fits through pretty snugly on the original Leatherman screwdriver tool. It fits in there pretty snugly. It does not fit through here very well, so I'm just going to try to bore it out just a little bit on the one that I don't plan to use. Now let's test it. Ta-da! I just need to do that 2 more times. Alright, so when you are down to the very last bit here, putting back together one of these, you do have the option to kind of bend the scale out a little, which is helpful. But there's no easy way to get this washer back in place. Alright, now that I have that on there, the most important thing to note is these can get misaligned, and if you don't get them just right, when you go to put it back together, it will not. So make sure that's aligned, push the pivot the rest of the way through, and it should be good to go. And look at that. You now have a Leatherman free P4 that'll hold Leatherman's flat bits. Easy peasy. Now you can use micro bits in the free P2. Now the downside is that there's no good way to store extra bits. So if you have your Phillips, you don't really have a flathead, but you have these flatheads over here that can be used for a lot of stuff. So I'd probably store a Phillips right there and then just keep a set of micro bits in a bag. Now the other thing is this right here. So we have a little thumb ramp is what it is. It's angled up, so it's a thumb ramp to make opening with one hand easier. Guess I just hold these for 5 minutes. I hope my fingers don't get epoxied to them. This didn't work out quite as I intended. First things first, these little thumb ramps or thumb studs, I couldn't get them to stay. I tried DAP, I tried JB Weld, I tried a bunch of stuff, and I could not get these to stay in there. But then I realized there's another problem, because I was doing this with the blade open. These bit holders are actually just a little bit thicker than the 2 tools together, and I believe that's possible because the way that the blade tapers and the spacers that are in here, you have a little additional room once you get beyond that spacer. So what that means is that with those thumb ramps, that interferes with that. You can't actually access the tool if you have the thumb ramp glued in there. So thumb ramps are out, unfortunately. I thought those were nice. They made it a little easier to open the blade. Don't work. The other problem is that micro bit holder, micro bit. You put it in there and it works pretty well as a screwdriver. I have no problems with it, except if you want to store that bit, you can't. There's no retention. For what it's worth, it does look like if you look down in there that there's a little hole that you could pressure fit a neodymium magnet into. I don't know what size, I don't have any on hand, so that makes the micro bit holder out of the question for now. That's unfortunate. So what I did is put the Leatherman flat bit holder on the free P2, get you basically to where a Leatherman wave is. You have 2 bits that you can flip around. The retention on this is really, really good. And then you have access to all of these bits if you have a bit kit. But therein lies the issue. I don't want to carry all of these with me. I wanted to use these little micro bits because they're a little bit easier to carry. I'm kind of back to square one because this is really hardly any more convenient than this if I'm not carrying these in my pocket all the time, which I don't need all the time. So I really didn't think this entirely through, but I am gonna leave this on here because I do think that it's, you know, a pretty good exchange for having this. I have Phillips and flathead, and then if I want more bits, I can have more bits. So it's been a few weeks since I first shot this video, and I was actually going to delete the footage. I thought this whole thing was a failure and that I just didn't think it through, and I figured maybe I should just take another crack at it. And it took me those 2 weeks to realize something that I think many of you have known all along. I'm an idiot. I didn't read the Shapeways description at all. I found this stuff, I'm like, oh sweet, perfect, that's what I want, ordered it. That was the end of it. Drilling out those holes, that was a known thing. Like the way that these are 3D printed, they're just gonna be rough edges. Sometimes you have to give them a little sanding. You gotta polish them up, smooth them up, bore out some holes sometimes. But what I didn't realize is that this right here, this micro bit holder, actually has more functions than I originally realized. One more, at least, one that's really, really neat. When you have your Leatherman totally closed, your bit driver is closed, you can just slide a bit in on the very end. It's got a driver in the end, so you can use it when it's closed as well. Totally cool. Did not realize that. So I switched back to the micro bit. I have the magnet on the way, and I think this thing is going to be really cool. Now, I know that some of you are like, what an idiot. Why did you put a combo edge on the free P4? It already has a fully serrated blade. Well, to be fair, I don't want a serrated blade in something I'm carrying every day. Just don't use them often. In fact, I haven't ever really used one in my entire life. So I wanted a straight blade on the Leatherman that I would be carrying in my pocket, but the one that goes in a backpack or whatever, it's most likely not gonna be the only knife on me or around. I don't really use the knife on a Leatherman a whole lot. But if it's the only thing that's on me, I'd rather have just a fully straight edge. And if you were wondering about the flat bit holder, it doesn't need magnetic retention because it has spring tension, which is very, very tight. So on the sides of it, on either side, actually, you have a little bar that puts side tension, and this slots into it. And that bit is very difficult to get out sometimes. Like, I almost need pliers to get the bit out. On this one, you also get a 1/4 inch wrench driver, whatever, 90 degrees so you can torque, but you do not get any use of micro bits. You don't get a bottle opener. You can't use it when it's closed. This one functions exactly like the one that comes on a Leatherman Wave. When it comes down to it, would I recommend doing this to your own Leatherman? Well, maybe. I think that you do lose a little bit of convenience, right? You've got to have bits for this to even work at all. So you've got to have a way to carry bits, and you're sacrificing just having a Phillips and a flathead there, or a pry, which is really, I think, the main functions that people are going to use a Leatherman for. Anyway, I like the ability to have these micro bits because I can use a Leatherman like this for knife maintenance. I can pop like a T8 in here and go to town with a Leatherman, which is a really, really neat function, I think. Also, you have to consider warranty. I'm not too concerned with warranty on this. Totally fine putting this on mine, but that's something that you would definitely have to consider as well. I like this mod, and I think this really takes the T2 to where it should have been from the very beginning. But that's my take. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload new videos. If you want to support what I'm doing here, hit the links in the description down below. Of course, I'm going to link to the Shapeways files for this. I don't get any kickbacks for that, but there will be other Leathermans and things down in the description down below. Those are affiliate links. If you click those and purchase anything using those links, I do get a little bit of a kickback. You can also go to carrycommission.com or carry.best to get this shirt and this hat, both in stock right now. And you can also go to patreon.com/bestdamnedc to support there. Be sure to follow us around the web. You can find us in most places at bestdamnedc. And with that said, and until next time, carry on.